Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, it's great to be here with you again. You've heard from some of the earlier speakers what an incredibly important election this is, and I agree entirely with that. I want to talk a little bit about why I think what we need desperately in foreign policy is a Ronald Reagan approach to foreign policy. You know, there are a lot of similarities between this year and 1980. You'll remember Jimmy Carter told us that we, the American people, were suffering from a malaise. Turned out the only malaise we were suffering from was Jimmy Carter. And Ronald Reagan took care of that. I think we're going to take care of another malaise this November. What was it that was at the center of Ronald Reagan and his foreign policy that made it so successful? Well, first, Ronald Reagan was proud to be an American. How about that in a president for a change? Today, we've got our first post-American president in Barack Obama. You know, he's above all that patriotism stuff. He doesn't believe in American exceptionalism. He says he does, but he doesn't. And it's a profound impact on the way he conducts our foreign policy. And it shows in another difference between him and Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan believed deeply in American sovereignty. In his administration, U.S. foreign policy was not made at the United Nations. Now, that's not the approach of President Obama or today's left in America. They're constantly talking about giving up our sovereignty, of pooling or sharing sovereignty with others. And they do it almost expressly to undercut our Constitution. They've done it on domestic and international issues. If you think of the Copenhagen Conference on Environmental change, or the Law of the Sea Treaty as a backdoor way to get that, on carbon emission taxes that the European Union is trying to create that are opposed most firmly today, not by the United States, but by China, for goodness sakes. And the Obama administration has planned carefully for one of their highest priorities, which is to negotiate this summer an arms trade treaty that has been deep in their agenda for a long time to have a profound negative impact on our Second Amendment rights. They've done this in a very stealthy fashion, but this summer there's little doubt that they intend to make all the progress they can, either to ram this thing through if Barack Obama is reelected, or if Governor Romney is elected, in hopes that the new administration isn't well organized to stop it. This is something the NRA has stood against so effectively for the last 10 years. We've got another big battle coming up on it this summer, and very, very important to oppose in the most strenuous fashion, because you know as well as I do that once Obama is reelected, if that happens, and never has to face the voters again, it's going to be Katie bar the door on his efforts to undermine our sovereignty and our key constitutional freedoms. Now, Ronald Reagan also understood that peace through strength was absolutely critical for a successful American foreign policy. He understood that you couldn't have a sustained American economy without having a strong American presence internationally, and that you couldn't have a strong national defense without a strong economy. Reagan understood what Adam Smith, the author of The Wealth of Nations, told us so many years ago. The first duty of the sovereign is that of protecting the society from the violence and invasion of other independent societies, which can be performed, said Adam Smith, only by means of a military force. What is the state of our defense budget today? Under Barack Obama, he will, if he succeeds, cut $1.5 trillion from our defense budget. $1.5 trillion. It will cripple the United States internationally. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a Navy that has 285 ships at sea, and it's going lower. 285 ships is the lowest number of ships since 1916. I didn't say 1960. We have today the lowest number of Navy ships afloat since the First World War, and every prospect is it will continue to decline. The Obama administration has essentially gutted our national missile defense program. You know, we all watched that North Korean missile launched yesterday explode after 60 or 90 seconds in flight. I'm very happy that that was the outcome, to be sure. But you know, ladies and gentlemen, it is not a defense policy to hope that your adversary's missiles don't work. And that appears to be the core of Obama's missile defense policy. One of the reasons that I endorsed Governor Romney many months ago was because a strong missile defense system to protect us, ladies and gentlemen, to protect American citizens from rogue states with nuclear weapons, absolutely critical for us going forward. The problem with Obama is that he sees American strength as provocative, when in fact it's the exact opposite. It's American weakness that's provocative, and we have a president who specializes in it. Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, he confides more in our adversaries than he does in the American people. You heard Governor Romney refer to that famous conversation with Russian President Medvedev, where our president says, give me some space before the election. And then once that's over, I can be more flexible on missile defense and a whole host of other issues. Well, thanks for sharing, Mr. President. This is not leadership. This is the antithesis of leadership. This is a performance by our chief executive that weakens the United States in the eyes of our friends and our adversaries alike. We've seen it in a whole host of issues: how he deals with Russia, how he deals with China, how he deals with nuclear proliferation from North Korea and Iran, how he treats our close allies like Israel. If you watch how the Obama administration has performed with respect to Iran and its nuclear weapons and its support for terrorism versus how our president has treated Israel, it's very clear. If you want to know how to treat a close ally, look at how Barack Obama has treated Israel and then do the exact opposite. The mask is off, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to Iran's nuclear weapons program. Barack Obama fears an Israeli exercise of their legitimate right of self-defense against that nuclear weapons threat more than he fears an Iran with nuclear weapons. It's exactly the opposite of what America's interests are. And amazingly, the president and his advisors talk as though foreign policy and national security are great electoral strengths for this president. Somehow they think it's a political plus for them, and they've got various examples. They cite the killing of Osama bin Laden and other things. Look, I'm delighted Osama bin Laden got exactly what was coming to him, no question about that. But that's not the same thing as the president deserving credit for it. Let me explain it this way. Osama bin Laden was killed while Barack Obama was president. He was not killed because Barack Obama was president. And the rest of the world knows that. Let's look at the score here as we think about November. In his 8 years as president, Ronald Reagan brought us to the brink of victory in the Cold War, the 20th century's Third World War. By contrast, in just 3 years, Barack Obama has brought us to the brink of an Iranian and North Korean deliverable nuclear weapons capability and dangerous proliferation worldwide. He's brought us dramatic insecurity and instability in the Middle East, growing threats to Israel, and he's brought us to the brink of paralysis and reductions in our defense and intelligence budgets. And with all that, he has the chutzpah to claim that he actually has policies similar to Ronald Reagan's. Let me make this clear, just in case he hasn't gotten the point. President Obama, you are no Ronald Reagan. We need to preserve our national sovereignty. We need to preserve our constitutional rights. We have to replace this national security policy of drift, decline, and defeatism with a Reaganite foreign policy right across the board this November. Thank you very much. Thank you.